Welcome to the Startup Grind.
Thank you for joining Startup Grind today. Today we'll be discussing about the role of academia in promoting entrepreneurship. But before that, we would like to know more about your professional experience as an academician and how you started working with these startups.
I'm basically a teacher for a very long time, a quarter century to be precise. And actually in my youth, the word entrepreneurship, business, profit, these were all dirty words. So we had to unlearn all those things. Not that I fully can imbibe all these things, but I have, using my education, I have understood that these are things that the young generation whom you serve as teachers, they need to warm up to. So I have made a conscious effort to promote these things in academia in whatever small way that I can. My background is that as of an engineer, I mean basically an electrical engineer, but not for a moment during my student days have I thought of entrepreneurship. So perhaps I am able to contrast what is happening in academia now because of this distancing.
You've also worked with one of the government agencies like C-DIT. Could you please tell us about your experience at C-DIT?
Yeah, I was for about 3 years I worked as Director of C-DIT. This is actually an IT arm of the Government of Kerala, and it is a multi-faceted institution with a number of technology departments or teams as they call it, starting from production of holograms to producing Malayalam computing software. So I had a wonderful experience working there, learning a number of things in project implementation, and also getting to know that our youngsters, if you put them in right ecosystem, they can deliver anything. This is the lesson I learned from C-DIT. That also has gone into my confidence about student startups, because C-DIT is a very young organization in the sense of the average age of people who work in C-DIT. And I found that keep them motivated, give them the good infrastructure, and you shield them from the typical Kerala kind of influence like over politicizing and political activism. They are able to deliver anything.
So you also had the opportunity to study abroad at one of the oldest and prestigious universities like Cambridge University.
Yes.
Could you please tell us how did that experience help you to develop a worldview?
I am a very lucky person as far as my education is concerned. I studied in the College of Engineering of Trivandrum, arguably the best engineering college in Kerala. Then I went to IIT-Bombay to do my post-graduation, arguably one of the best institutes in India. And then I went to Cambridge to do my MPhil, arguably one of the best universities in the world. And all these places gave us new learning. You could look back at whatever you had assimilated so far, contrast it, look at it critically. So Cambridge, of course, is compared to the American universities, leans more to tradition than to modernity. But at the same time, it is able to deliver cutting-edge scientific knowledge. A lot of Nobel laureates from Cambridge, and even computing technology. The Cambridge Ring network is the basis of the internet itself. So it's a mix of both, and I found that there is a environment there where individuals, the value of individuals are greatly recognized, and they are the role of the university is really as a catalyst to provide an ecosystem for these individuals to grow through the university system, thereby contributing to the university's own ideals, but they are not different from an individual ideals of an individual growth. So I think I took a lot of lessons from Cambridge back home, and the pride of being an CAM alumni is of course an international phenomena. I also share and relish that.
Do you think the same kind of principles apply to the academic systems in India and particularly in Kerala?
Not necessarily, especially in Kerala. The reason is that the society has a redefinition of the roles of its institutions. irrespective of what is written down on paper, on the charter of the university or on the act. So if you look at the act of the University of Kerala, you wouldn't find it very different from that of Cambridge as to what it should be doing. But however, what is practiced is not that. Kerala is not England. England is a place where democracy has over centuries has thrived. The society is more equal, developed. But 100 years ago, Kerala was not like that. When the university began 80 years ago, Kerala was not like that. So the university as an institution was forced to take some other roles of demonstrating the equality of the society. So our university prides itself in whether students of all communities are coming into the university system, whether the teachers belonging to all communities are there in the faculty group. The university's administration itself is controlled by people from all communities and walks of life. So there is an obsession with this aspect. You could call it equality or access. I do not look down upon it, but I do strongly feel that it is time to also balance it with the original or rather well-acclaimed roles of the university to generate knowledge and become a turbine of economic progress of the state. Our universities are so far not so.
So we also see the trend of people staying back at the same countries where they had the opportunity for higher education, but you chose to come back to India and work here.
Yeah.
What was the strongest motivation for doing it?
In fact, very interesting question, and something that I have faced for a very long time when I was young. To be very frank, I asked my father, and he told me that Cambridge can possibly do without you, but you can make a difference to the University of Kerala. I thought that was a very, very convincing reply for me. Cambridge has great intellect, it has got an environment, an ecosystem, as I mentioned earlier, enough money, and I would be just one of the, like a bulb in a, a mast light, just one of it. Whereas coming back to a university which needs to grow tremendously in the coming decades, I thought that was really the challenge, not to be in a place where everything is fine and you being there is a pride for you. So I wanted to if you let me be immodest, I would say I want a university where I work to be proud of me rather than the other way around, and that is afforded by my university, Kerala University.
And you have had a long span of career, and have you experienced any kind of issues that have made you feel otherwise, that this was not a right decision, or you would have done better if you had stayed back?
Yeah. You pose a difficult question. See, to be frank, if I worked in Cambridge or if I worked in an American university, I am sure that my only worries would be about my academic work. I walk into my laboratory, I start worrying about what I need to do, how do I get grants and things of that sort. But in my university where I work now, it is definitely not like that. I have to every day be involved in and be responding to and become a part of lot of things which I am totally not interested in, but I am dragged into. That is the Kerala society. There is good and bad of it, but I would say that that kind of an involvement would have been more appropriate for a university which is very well developed. If a professor in Cambridge is asked to continuously respond to what is happening around him or her, that would have been very good. But for me, I have hard work to do to ensure that my university and my role in my university, academic role in my university, is done to international standards. If that time is taken away to respond to social issues, then what happens is you become a good citizen, but the university goes down. So this is the comparison. But to answer your question, I really think that my decision to stay back has been good.
So let's move on to the student startups.
Yes.
One of the very first student startups from Kerala was Suryakiran Bioinformatics, and you have been closely associated with them during the initial stages as a mentor. Could you please tell us more about that experiences and the lessons learned from that?
Yeah. Actually, in 2006, the students of my department, the Department of Bioinformatics, the first batch of the MPhil program came out and had no jobs. You know, the area was a cutting edge area, but there were no industries in Kerala which could take them. Even at the national level, the opportunities were very small. So one of these students floated the idea that why don't we start a company, because we were aware that internationally there were a lot of opportunities. And a number of people gathered around that idea, and especially my senior colleague Dr. Umman Viman was very enthused, and he said, you know, he would even give them some money to start off their activity. He was very, very excited. And all this together kind of took the idea forward. And then we talked to Sri Vijay Raghavan, you know, the founder CEO of Technopark. A number of other people from industry came and talked. And all along I knew that this was a very dangerous step to take and the risk involved was very high. But I am a person who believes that until you take risks and you walk around possibly bad ideas, you can succeed. So I kind of stood with the students and told them that come what may, we will give it a try, because there is no other choice for you to have jobs other than academic career. So these students were also very bold and smart, and they together put up this company. And to cut the story short, I will tell you, as a teacher it was a great learning experience for me. You know, one American company and later a Japanese company gave 2 huge projects to these students, and with not much of doubting them, their ability and their skill. And on one occasion I asked one of these American guys, why did you choose to give a project to a small company like Suryakiran? And his reply was very eye-opening for me. He said, number one, because you are an Indian company, and number 2, because you are small, and number 3, because you work from an Indian university campus. So then I realized that my campus was not that bad after all, and being small was also not that bad, because I understand, you know, if you give a small project to a big company, they may not find value in it, they may not serve well, and you know, but you give a small project to a small company, it's big for them, so they might serve well. So the potential of a campus startup and the kind of headway that we have when we say Indian university campus, that is something I realized from starting being together with Suryakiran. And we were so happy that that experiment happened. For 2 years they operated from the Kerala University campus, and the turnover was somewhere around 35 lakhs. They did not burn any money, all of them had their salaries for all these 2 years, but they did not survive after they moved to the Technopark incubation center. Maybe not many problems, you know, that there was no mentoring that could be given while they were here, but they were taken up by other companies, you know, these people who had already gathered some experience, and one of these persons, you know, works in a top bioinformatics company in Kerala. So to me as a teacher, I think that the whole experiment was highly educative, and it has emboldened me now to go forward with experiments after 10 years now. This happened 10 years ago. And I also see that the word startup, campus startup is no longer, people don't doubt it or don't look at it with suspicious eye. But in 2006 it was not like that. I had to bear the brunt of lot of unfair criticism. You know, a lot of isms were alleged as to behind the whole exercise. But today I find it has changed a lot. So now the university is restarting its startup activities after 10 years.
It took 10 years.
Yes.
To change that perception.
Yeah. Well, there are other reasons also. When it was sleeping and now it has come back again. But now when we come back, you know, the government of India, the government of Kerala, they are all, you know, kind of hand-holding startups, and we don't have much of I don't foresee much of an issue.
So what are the other benefits of starting a company while you're still at college? You did talk about the advantages of being small, the advantages of being in the university. I kind of related to being more credible and having access to a lot of resources which are in the university already. So what other benefits are there for starting a company while you're still at the university?
Yeah. See, essentially the students, kind of students that we get in the University of Kerala, possibly other university campuses, they are basically intellectually good, of very good quality. But their soft skills and their work habits, their confidence and their personality, they leave much to be desired. And entrepreneurship, going into entrepreneurship is an excellent way in which the person can open up and be adventurous and gain confidence, learn to take risks, learn to work in teams. All of these are actually soft skills that we badly want our students to have. But we don't want them to burn money, so the university's model is slightly different from what other incubation centers might practice. We don't start talking about venture capital investment to begin with. We are more interested in hand-holding the students with small startups which are more service oriented, and then they can take time to plan themselves for growth rather than starting with a great world changing idea and then you pump in venture capital. Perhaps somebody comes up with that, we will have to support them also, but we are thinking of small startups where with a small cabin they could start offering services, develop, learn and grow. By that time I don't think they will need our advice for them to take off to scaled up model or a model involving venture capital. That is what we are practicing.
So the Kerala University has recently set up a Kerala University Technology and Business Startup Center.
Yeah.
Could you please tell us about the vision of the center and how you plan to achieve it?
Yeah. See, when you hear the word startup, mostly we center it around the technological institutions, College of Engineering and National Institute of Technology or IITs. However, startups need not be limited to this techie stuff. They can spread to science, they can spread to social science.
Yes.
Yeah. So the speciality of the University of Kerala is that it has 41 departments, from optoelectronics to Arabic, from bioinformatics to psychology, from biotechnology to linguistics. So the scope is, the diversity among the departments is very enormous. And another thing is that the energy, academic energy is utilized at the highest level. We only have master's programs in research, PhD. So the environment is conducive to a higher level of intellectual activity. That is another point. Now the Kerala University Technology and Business Startup Center wants to leverage this diversity of the departments, and our incubation scheme lets student start up in almost no time, like all other startups are claiming. Well, we might take a couple of weeks to process their applications, and the leverage that we give them is, for example, a student in bioinformatics department wants to start a company. Once the university agrees to their proposals, they can immediately announce in their website, they can start a website and announce that they have the following facilities, all of which is that of the university. They can announce it as their own. The only thing is that when they want to really use it, they will have to pay according to the rates that the university has decided. This means without any investment, you are going to project yourself as a company with facilities which are there, actually there, but on a use basis. You have to pay on a use basis. Imagine we have a sophisticated instrumentation center in which a particular instrument which is now being installed costs 3.5 crores.
Yes.
and a student startup which gives a service on this instrument can announce the availability of this instrument. So, I think that this model, I do not know whether it is practiced anywhere else. Even if it is practiced, there will not be a place like a university campus where such a diversity of facilities are available for such experiments. And we encourage students from, for example, Department of Arabic. You would think, what does a language department have to do with startups? But we find that, a translation service in Arabic is an extremely important service to be provided to a state like Kerala, where a large number of people are in Gulf, to translate their passports, to translate their driving licenses, to give requests to the Arabian governments, on various issues that people get entangled with. A small company with 2 or 3 people who are expert in Arabic language, offering services of translation is an extremely important one. And so likewise, translation in other languages, Malayalam, German and things of that sort. So the investment required is a place, some pride, some hand holding, and of course computing and network. Our campus is completely networked, we have Wi-Fi, we have also cable connection for the networking. And we have a journalism department where students could offer, advertisement services, production of advertisements, production of videos, animations, movies, and the chemistry department, very large number of research facilities are there. So we want the students in these departments to come forward and think in terms of startup in those areas, from languages to social sciences to we want to come to technology. So we foresee that our model would be different and it will be noted for its diversity, noted for its speciality in the sense that the number of costly infrastructure is going to be made available to the students.
Also, one of the key concerns for student startups, especially in the research area, is patent management. So how does the university plan to do patent management, and if you have a case you could talk about, that would be great.
See, our university is in its infancy as far as promoting innovation is concerned. Whenever innovation happens, that happens on its own, not by design, not by any kind of hand holding. There are excellent researchers among our faculty, there are excellent research scholars who have produced excellent work, but it is all not by design. We have a more or less a free environment where people can grow to whatever extent they want, and many people choose to grow only to the necessary extent to get their degrees. And therefore what I am hinting at is, our university's patent record is not very great, unfortunately. Over 70-80 years of existence, the university attempted 17 patents and succeeded in 4. Now what is striking is, American university, average American university could get anywhere from 200 to 400 patents per year. That is where we have got 4 in 88 years. However, this does not reflect on the quality or the ability of the people here. It is not because they are incapable of doing it, and the proof I can give you is that most of the patents produced by American universities, they come from Chinese and Indian brain. So it is the ecosystem that really matters. There is no system to promote this, but the times have changed. I could tell you that our university has now started filing 2 to 3 patents a year, and this compared to the history of 78 years is a very good one. So this is a tip of the iceberg. This will change, the numbers will start rising. And right now the process for patenting has been greatly simplified, and in a month's time, if a teacher makes a request in a month's time, all the formalities at the university would be completed, and the patent process formal process can be completed by the teacher. All the university process will be over in a month's time, and the university goes out to promote patenting. We have posters in all the departments right now as I speak, which talk about how patents are important and how easy it is, and even in small things it can be done. So there is a promotion from the side of the university. University would pay all the expenses if people want to patent. But interestingly, your question also asked about students. We are yet
Student
to
startups.
yeah, about patents from students. We are yet to see any demand for patents from students. When that comes, we will have to support them. But when they are into a company and when they want to protect their intellectual property with patents, then the universities, of course, because they have a student status, the university will be there to support them. But the culture of patenting is yet to catch up in Kerala.
Also, another important thing that is required for the student startups is industry partnership.
Yeah.
So, how has the university worked with the industry in establishing partnerships for supporting the startups and commercializing their products or services?
Yeah. I would like to say, frankly, our university is at an infancy on these things. We do have linkages with industries. They are very one-off rather than a routine process.
Like you mentioned about Sweden and Technopark.
Yeah. So right now the strategy is, as Director of Quality Assurance, I can speak on my capacity as that also. What we are doing is the Vice Chancellor has written to all the industries, major industries in Kerala and some outside Kerala also. We have asked them, what is it that you would like the university to do research on. We have compiled it. It is an excellent document.
Is it available online?
It is not yet published.
Okay.
So the university's idea is to circulate this to students and researchers. There are two things that we look forward to. One is that the students then know real life problems. They try to solve it, they already have a client. The waste produced by KMML, Kerala Minerals and Metals Limited, they have a very specific problem. 2 tons of a particular kind of material that they are keeping with them because they do not want to dispose it without a scientific analysis. Can somebody come out with a technology for that? Now that kind of a connection the university is now hand holding. So our compilation will go to the students, then the students can look at it. We have got inputs from TCS, for example, a large number of individuals and even professors working abroad. So this I would think is going to be a great trigger for startups, for research in general, but in particular for startups, because they are going to see a number of ideas which can be their triggering point for their startups.
One of the key components for developing entrepreneurship in academia, one of the suggestions is to incorporate entrepreneurship related courses into the academic program. Do you personally believe that that is a necessity?
Yes and no. If you kind of think of putting a program which is very kind of business training kind of a module into an academic program, I doubt whether it would gel well with the academic programs. But there could be elements of entrepreneurship which are taught to students. When I say this, I must tell you that I am really focusing on the postgraduate students.
Okay.
At the undergraduate level, I would say yes. Engineering students, for example, yes.
You take around 40, 50 courses and
they can have
one of it being entrepreneurship.
There is nothing wrong with it, and I would welcome it.
Yeah.
For a postgraduate program, I would say we have to be very careful in doing that. There could be certain elements of it which we can distribute in other programs if possible. Then I would more like to see that these are being done through informal means rather than part of the curriculum. For example, I encourage my students to sign up for a MOOC course, massive online open course from Stanford in Coursera, which talks about entrepreneurship. One is that it's self-paced and they can on their own be doing this. We could encourage that, and our university could think of in future giving a credit for that.
Yes.
So the student can choose an appropriate program from anywhere in the world, and if they wish, they can do that rather than making it mandatory. And I also see that there could be people who are close to entrepreneurship. They are more into their own world of research, academic research. The university has a space for rainbow of personalities. The entrepreneurship is only one of them. So I would say rather than make it a compulsory part, postgraduate students are quite mature to choose. So we provide an option. That is what I would suggest.
Since you brought up open courses
Yeah.
that is provided by various established universities around the world.
Yeah.
How do you think it could be used well by the universities and in fact schools in Kerala?
Yeah.
I don't think it would be a threat to the existing system, but it would really augment the existing system. But we don't see that kind of usage of this open and free course that's available on the
Yeah,
internet.
yeah.
What could be done?
Yeah. With schools, I would say it's a different cup of tea.
Yeah.
You know, school is a place where the individual attention of a teacher is required, and we cannot let in some teaching material which is not vetted. You know, there are a lot of things in it. You know, the cultural kind of invasion that would happen through that, and also these courses may not be aimed at school children. They might be aimed at more mature people, and then that being aired to the students, you know, school students. A lot of issues are there. But for mature learners in higher education, there are no issues like that. You asked whether it is a threat to the existing system. And
Because we don't see a massive usage of it. So is it because people think it's threat to the existing?
I would say it is not a threat. It opens a tremendous amount of opportunity for the teachers and the education system. For instance, I would like to say, we are always thinking of using it, taking a course from Stanford and giving it in the university's program. Why don't think the other way around?
Exactly.
Why not think of offering a program on Sanskrit from University of Kerala, which will have students from Stanford? That is the way to think. So it is all, you know, we are taking and we are using, and you know, our systems are affected. You know, we should become leaders, and we should be people. They should be scared. Stanford should be scared that, you know, there are a lot of takers for the Sanskrit course from Kerala University. I specifically say this because in Coursera there is no course on Sanskrit.
Okay.
And if our university could offer, there would be takers from all over the world.
Have you started working on it?
Well,
yet?
yes, we are 1 year into working on it.
Okay.
And I'm very happy to tell you we have already run a pilot internally, and August we will be announcing a MOOC. So, you know, we need to be the guru for the world. We are not people who are going to be exploited by everyone, but you know, we need to have the status of guru for that is a way that we will come on par with this university. So I am all for such programs, and I am sure that it will only do good to our university and to the whole humanity. You know, we are going to share our knowledge and skills to others, and of course we will take what we think is appropriate from them.
I believe that you are also actively involved in developing policies for the university and in fact for the government. And we have come up with a student startup policy, I guess, from Kerala. And some of the measures that is mentioned in the policy is giving grace points, introducing the concept of gap year for encouraging students to take up entrepreneurship. Do you personally believe that's the right way, or that would have unintended consequences, like say a student towards the end of the course realizes that he doesn't have enough marks and suddenly having a personal realization that he's an entrepreneur to get the grace points. So how do you evaluate such measures?
You know, anything can be exploited.
Yes.
You have the grace mark is not given for startups alone. You know, it is given if you go for taking part in a social activity like in NSS, National Service Scheme. So there also it happens. You know, you don't have enough marks, or you know,
you suddenly become a social worker.
So you know, why do we think of that one person who would exploit this? Think of n number of people who would actually be excited with this. So there is nothing called right or wrong. You know, everything can be made right, everything can be made wrong. So the Kerala University has already implemented it for its BTech programs. This grace mark system and the attendance being condoned is already implemented. In 2014, the university issued orders on that. We are now looking forward to having the same for the postgraduate programs. And this policy statement of startup is now has been considered by the syndicate, and they are studying it for its implementation. So this policy is envisaged as a model policy for all universities. I think a large number of elements have been put into that based on our experience of 2006 itself. And I hope, you know, we need to, I wish that we need to make it right rather than thinking of it as right or wrong.
Okay. And also one of the most popularly discussed policy in India today is startup policy.
Yeah.
And they do talk about a lot of industry academia partnership and also incubations within the universities, establishing research centers, innovation centers
Yeah.
across universities. How do you see yourself and the University of Kerala playing a very important role in the implementation of this policy?
See, I had earlier very frankly admitted that our university is in its infancy in many of these things. So our job is very tough to really sell the idea to the university community, and in Kerala is hypercritical, everything is hypercritical, good in some ways but very pulling back in many other ways.
Yeah.
But we are through a very difficult phase. So nobody asks what is a startup, we don't want it here, we don't see banners against startup.
Yeah.
And I very interestingly saw that one university union in one of the universities in Kerala went ahead to take the lead to have startups and innovation contests. So these are all signs of time. Times have changed, that our student community themselves want these things to happen. And across political spectrum, everybody is talking about startups. The government of India has a startup policy, Startup India, Stand Up India.
Yeah.
And Kerala of course is a leader in startup with the startup village.
Yes.
Many young people, there are good kind of role models now, visible role models. And therefore the system will boil down and will settle in Kerala, I have no doubt about it. But then there are many aspects of it which will continue to attract criticism and debate. It has to be weathered. We have to continuously be debating this, and we have to weather this. That is what I feel.
Thank you so much for your time, sir.